Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to All About Sports. The Kansas City Chiefs and Super Bowl MVP quarterback Patrick Mahomes have reached an agreement on a 10-year contract extension that keeps him in KC through the 2031 season. The deal is worth $450 million over the 10-year period and could be worth up to $503 million. The extension includes a $140 million injury guaranteed, as well as a no-trade clause. With his landmark payout over the next 12 seasons, Mahomes will have the richest valid contract in American professional sports. Mike Trout held that distinction after he signed a 12-year, $426.5 million deal with the Los Angeles Angels last year. All right, everyone, I'm your host, Luca Vitale, and Sriman is back with me to do this one as well. So, Sriman, do you think Patrick Mahomes deserved this mega deal?
Well, I think that question can be answered a few ways. I think in terms of talent, I don't think there's any other player that deserves that kind of money. Whether or not a 11-year deal is worth, if any player is worth 11 years, because we can't really see into the future. I don't know if that's the smartest deal for Kansas City to make, just given Patrick Mahomes might be fine for those years, but what about the assets around him? And he doesn't necessarily play the safest brand of football. He's very mobile. He takes a lot of hits, and he's throwing some pretty crazy balls. So, God forbid he gets hurt, but that's the kind of league we play in, right? I don't know if it's the best decision for Kansas City, but I like the idea of some sort of indication to Patrick that he's, that the organization really does believe in him after an MVP season, a season where he comes back from behind in the Super Bowl to win it. Some of the greatest throws we've ever seen any quarterback do from such a young kid. So I think it's a benchmark moment in sports when a football player, which is very rare that a football player ends up making that much money. But I think I don't know I think he deserves it, but I don't know if it was the right contract for Kansas City to sign.
So Patrick Mahomes, we all know, is a generational talent. He's going to be the face of the NFL as soon as Tom Brady retires. It's going to be for years to come ahead. He's going to be ahead of Lamar Jackson, ahead of Deshaun Watson, ahead of Dak Prescott. He deserved every penny of this deal. It's not just because of the greatness we all see he displays on the football field, not just the fact that he's 24-7 as a starter, not just because he's got 76 touchdowns and 18 interceptions in his 2 years as an NFL starter. He's a Super Bowl champion in his second full year of playing the season. Last year, or the year before, he just got knocked out of the AFC Championship because of Tom Brady. Tom Brady is, in many people's minds, the GOAT. So when you take all that into consideration with his youth and the projecting the money that he's going to generate for the Kansas City franchise, I mean, you got to see the markability that he's going to bring to this Kansas City Chiefs franchise, the kind of revenue he's going to bring into this franchise with years to come. Now, the fact that you said that it's going to ruin the front office, that how they somehow made a mistake. I could have totally seen Patrick Mahomes demand for way more money than he already did. I have read a couple of things saying that he left plenty of money on the table for the front office to dish out to other players on this team. And that is why it was very, what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word, but the concept of him leaving that money on the table for other players. So you got Tyreek Hill to pay. You got Travis Kelce to pay. You got McCole Hardman to pay. All these players to be on this team to be paid to continue legacy in Arrowhead Stadium. And there's going to be other players that are going to want to play with him as well in Kansas City because it's Patrick Mahomes. We need to remember as well in the last year playoffs, when we go back to the Super Bowl. In the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, of course, when it matters the most, who chokes? Jimmy Garoppolo. Who doesn't? Patrick Mahomes. The 49ers had a 10-point lead in what is Jimmy G do? He throws 3 for 11 for 36 yards, with an interception along with the fourth down sack. And don't forget, he had a 2.8 passer rating, which is the worst passer rating in the Super Bowl by a quarterback since stats started to be compiled in 1999. We need to remember as well, the Chiefs were held scoreless in that third quarter, and they scored 21 points in that fourth quarter. I mean, yes, the defense had responsibility with that as well, but Patrick Mahomes was able to put on a show after the first half because he was okay in the first half, but it wasn't the Patrick Mahomes people were assuming to see in the Super Bowl. So I like this deal because he left money on the table for the front office to dish out to players that are already on the squad, and then maybe in the future as well, players to play him alongside of him that they will sign in the future because they would want to play with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I definitely think, Mahomes as a player, just from what we can see in the media, he doesn't seem very selfish. He definitely puts the needs of the team ahead of himself. He was patient in the year after he was drafted, before he was named the starter the following season. I think from all aspects of the game, he looks like a stand-up guy, and he looks like the kind of guy that the NFL wants as a forefront. He's already on the cover of Madden, and he's just in all aspects has just completely been blown out of the water in terms of expectations. So I think it'll be really fun to see what he does for the next 10 years. And if anyone deserves it, it's definitely him.
Yeah, and it's not just the greatness that he portrays on the field as well. I mean, you see the commitment he puts into football. You see what he's willing to put in with his team and the character that he brings. It just proves that he deserved a monstrous deal like this. So it's just not, I mean, obviously to be paid like this in football, like Russell Wilson has, like Carson Wentz has, it's not just the greatness you have proven on the football field. It's your character too, and the commitment and the time you are willing to put into the sport.
For sure. And you just named two guys that have been, considered just stand-up guys. And, you don't really see Russell Wilson out with his name being thrown around with anything, bad. He's been regarded as one of the best leaders in the NFL, one of the best quarterbacks currently. And, considering, he has a Super Bowl ring, he's been there before. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes definitely deserves a spot up there. Given how young he is, he's definitely going to grow a lot more. But yeah, he's a lot of fun to watch, and we'll see. I guess we'll be watching him for quite some time now.
Let me ask you this question. Obviously, he's tied to KC until through 2031. How many more rings do you think they'll get?
Well, I don't know. I think it really just depends on what other teams there are. I think if you see other teams in the AFC that are, picking up steam, I think, I'm biased. I feel like the Broncos will be contenders in the next few years. And then just, every other team, Houston, I guess not really much anymore with the depart of DeAndre Hopkins, but, Tennessee, they're still looking good. Really a lot of the teams in the AFC, Steelers will still be in there. The Ravens will still be in there. Any number of teams. It's just going to be, I guess, kind of that NBA formula of how are we going to take down the Chiefs. And, from the NFC, you still have Tampa Bay with, Brady and Gronk, and we'll see, how many years that lasts. But then Seattle, always strong. New Orleans with Drew Brees. So I think there's still a lot of teams, and that's what's so fun about the NFL is you never really know. Whereas in the NBA, you kind of have an idea of who's going where. But yeah, I think I would assume that Mahomes gets another ring at some point. I don't know if he's a lock for it. I don't know if the Chiefs system is built like the Patriots system where they could just bust out rings, but we've still got time, and Andy Reid still has time to develop that offense around their franchise guy.
Yeah, and I like how you said the Patriot system. I mean, I got to say something. There is no way that Patrick Mahomes will surpass Brady in rings. I don't think that will ever happen. It's just simply because how the offense is going to be working out. We have not seen Mahomes play bereft of weapons. We have seen Brady play with bereft of weapons. He went 12-4 last year with rookies and then Julian Edelman. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I mean, yes, he was carried by the defense in a way, but they still posted a 12-4 record. I don't think that was just the defense. It had to be with Brady too. But you just gotta take a look and see in the future, because like you said, the Ravens are gonna be there. You got Lamar Jackson and those guys. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're always competitive like that. And like you said, you got Seattle, New Orleans. You got all those good teams. And like your Broncos, yeah, we'll see them in the uprising. But I see maybe 2 or 3 more rings from Mahomes within this time window. And that'll be it, because you have to see eventually they're not going to have enough money to pay for Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman, or any other player that they're going to bring in. It's just it's a tough process. So that's why I'll say 2 to 3 more.
Yeah, I think that's what we overlook a lot is that Kansas City defense and how they really stepped up last season.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many weapons on this team, but holding on to all of them will be difficult. Holding on to guys like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, Damian Williams, McCole Hardman, like that is the key in maintaining this Kansas City offense. But that defense with guys like God, who's that safety?
They got the Honey Badger and Tyrann Mathieu. They got
yeah.
Frank Clark. So there you go. Those are some big guys.
No, yeah, but that defense really came up big. That was really the issue for them in years past, in stopping them from getting there. I know in that AFC Championship a year prior, that's really what kind of ended it for them. You know, there's never really any question about how good the offense was going to be after we saw Mahomes' MVP season, but that defense was where the liabilities lie. So I don't know if it's more about Patrick Mahomes in terms of the rings. We know how well he could play, but it's about that defense, yeah.
They definitely went into last season with not exactly the best defense in the league, and Mahomes was able to overcome that. Yes, the defense definitely got way better as the season progressed, but Mahomes definitely had the responsibility of getting the team where it was. And I also got to say this. I remember when Mahomes got injured, he was out for 2 weeks, and the Kansas City Chiefs were basically off the board of not winning the Super Bowl. It went all to the Ravens and the Saints. And I think that's part of the reason as to almost why, there wasn't a huge spotlight on them. Almost like expectations went down a little bit. And I think that almost helped them in a way to say, they overcame adversity and they were able to win. Because you saw what happened to the Ravens. They had that huge winning streak going to the playoffs and they got knocked out by Tennessee. So it almost helped out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. It was an interesting season for sure last year, seeing teams that we haven't seen there before. With San Francisco and Kansas City. And it'll be interesting for years to come. I don't, with the move of Brady to Tampa Bay, it really just shakes up so much. And we'll begin to see some new teams rise. Maybe we'll see, like I said before, New Orleans back in the Super Bowl, just teams that we've wanted to see there, even Green Bay, like just teams that have always been powerhouses, but have been kind of just stopped at one point or another. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
Definitely. All right, all. Thanks for watching another episode of All About Sports Streaming. Thanks for joining me once again, and we'll see you guys later on.